Yeah. But good morning, students.
Good morning, ma'am.
Is the screen visible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Already nearly 10 minutes. Some connection issue was there. I will start, students. We will not wait. They will join. Your friends will join. Fine? I'll begin.
Okay, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
So we will move on to the last chapter in Indian Partnership Act, that is registration of partnership firms. So in this registration of partnership, we will see some of the general provisions under Indian law, and is registration compulsory in Indian law, and if yes or if no, what are the effects we will be seeing if the firm is not registered. There are some penalties levied and some powers of rule general. We need not go into detail. This public notice is under section 72. We are then and there discussing since yesterday, day before yesterday, by from minor we are discussing public notice. We will see what this public notice also. So we will first begin with registration of these firms. So according to your students, if you want to have a solicitor firm, do you think that you have to register that partnership firm? Yes. Do you think it should be registered?
It should be registered, but it is an optional. You can register, you cannot register.
Yeah.
It depends.
It depends. Have we discussed this, that registration is optional, etc.?
No, not yet.
Not yet. So, whether a firm is to be registered firm or not, it depends upon what are the effects if the firm is not registered. So, we will see whether we need to register a firm or not. So, you directly came to the point and said, yes, the firm is to be what?
Registered, if it is to be.
Why the firm is to be registered according to you?
See,
Why would you think that the firm should be a registered firm?
Partners only can file a sue against or can be sued only by the registered firm in case of any liability to be recovered. So there are some advantages of registration of using the laws in the court of law.
According to the court of law, you say. So you want to say that better register the firm.
Yes.
Is it better?
Yes.
Register? We will see that there are many effects where registration has to be made. Why it has to be made, etc. We will see. So there are some provisions in Indian law. Before moving ahead for non-registration of the firm, we will first come on to the general provisions in Indian law from section 56 to 68. Then we will see section 69, the most important point of this discussion. So we will see what are these general provisions in Indian law. Simple provisions, students. We will just move ahead discussing these provisions one by one. I will just explain to you all in 2 minutes. We will just move ahead. Now, first section 56 speaks of the power to exempt from the application of this chapter. Who has the power? Who has the power to exempt? For whom are they going to apply? This all we will be discussing in section 56. It is in the hands of the state government. The state government or any state by any notification in the official gazette shall, what they should see, shall not apply to that state or to that specified notification. In this chapter of registration of the firm, the object of a third party who is dealing with the firm, he must know, he must have the knowledge that these are the list of persons. So the sections on the whole are providing who are the partners and who are not the partners. So this power which is there to exempt them, it is authorized by the state government of any state to exempt the state from the operation of this chapter of this act. So any application to be exempted, it is in the hands of the state government. So power to exempt, who has the power? State government. Just remember this. In section 57, we are discussing appointment of registrars. Please. Who has the power to appoint? So again, the state government has the power to appoint registrars of the firm for the purpose of this act. And it will also tell which area they must exercise their powers and perform the duties. Who will tell? The state government itself will give the jurisdiction of these registrars to what extent you have the power to exercise or what duties you can perform. It is being guided by the state government. And here in section 57, every registrar is a public servant within the meaning of section 21 of the Indian Penal Code. Who are all the public servants who are defined in section 21 of the Indian Penal Code? All those persons are put in this bag. So every registrar shall be deemed to be a public servant, and that public servant, we are borrowing the provisions of section 21 of the IPC, and you all know the list of persons, students. So all of them fall in the bag of the word registrar. So appointment is by state government and registrar is public servant, every public servant defined in section 21 of the Indian Penal Code. We move on to 58, application of registration. So the application of this registration here, who has to be, and it is being sent by what mode? The registration of the firm may be sent by any time. At any time, it may be sent by post or it may be sent by to the registrar of that particular area in which the particular business is there or wherever it is situated. And the mode of delivery here in section 58, it was post, when postal was the only mode of communication. Likewise, now there are different modes of conveying, mode of posting it. So you may add on any electronic mode. They have not been mentioned here, but it is 58 when it was implemented here, then electronic mode or email, etc., whatever was not there to deliver to the registrar. Now things have changed. Accordingly, they can apply for the registration. Now, whenever the firm is applying for registration, it has to see that it will fill a particular form and pay a prescribed fee. A small nominal fee will be there. It has to pay a prescribed fee. And in that, there will be various contents. The contents of the application form, which is being applied for the purpose of registration of this firm, should include the firm name, the place of the business of the firm, the principal place, if any branch is there, likewise that branch, the name of all the other places in which the firm is going to carry on the business, the dates when each partner has joined the partnership firm, their names, full names, addresses of all the partners. What is the duration of the firm should be accompanied along with the application of the register. And each person who is signing the statement will verify all what it is. And we all have studied what should be in the firm name. Whenever they are writing the firm name, they have to be very careful. The firm name should not include the words like Empress, Empire, Imperial, King, Queen, Royal, or any name where prior approval of the state government is necessary, or it should not be confusing the minds of the general public. Such should be the name, and that name should be added in the application of the registration. Am I clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Moving on to section 59. Section 59 is speaking of registration. Yes, after the appointment of registration and filling the necessary application form and all the contents, when the registrar is satisfied with all the provisions what we discussed in section 58, then he shall record an entry of the statement in the register of the firm saying that this is a registered firm, and they will file the statement. So section 59 is registration. Registration is complied when all the application, what we discussed in section 58 is complied with. And then they will enter it in the statement of the register known as register of firms. They will file the statement, and then we can say that the firm is a registered firm. We have some more provisions to add on in the registration of this firm. Section 60 tells us if there is any alteration in the firm name or there is alteration in the principal place of business of this particular partnership firm where they have applied for registration in section 58. So recording of alteration in the firm name and in the principal place of business. Changes should be sent to the register of the firm. They must be notified first to the registrar, and then the registrar will do the necessary changes, and he will excuse me, he will do the necessary alterations regarding the change in the firm name, change in the principal place of business, and he will amend the entry in the register of the firms. So if any firm wants to do the alteration, the firm has to apply to the registrar of the firms, and the registrar will do the necessary changes and make an entry in the register of the firms. In section 61, if any branch is to be closed or if any new branch is to be opened regarding the partnership firm, or it wants to discontinue any firm, then at that time, again, the change in the place, principal place of business, etc., have to be sent to the registrar of the firm along with the statement relating to the firm. What all changes have to be made. Along with that, if they send to the registrar will do the necessary changes accordingly in the register of the firm. Section 62 is speaking of noting of change in names and addresses of the partners. Yes, the partners' addresses may change. They may have some permanent address later on. So this intimation is to be sent to the registrar by the partners or any partner who is acting as an agent, and they should file it with the necessary changes. All these changes have to be entered there. That is what section 62. Change in name and addresses of partners have to be communicated to the registrar along with the statement of the changes, and he will do accordingly the changes and enter it in the register of the firms. Section 63 has two clauses, students. One is regarding the dissolution of the firm. Any change occurs regarding the constitution of the firm or regarding the dissolution of the firm, we can say incoming and outgoing partners changes will be there. They have to communicate it to the registrar, and the registered firm, if it is dissolved, any partner must immediately before dissolution give a notice to the registrar of such say change in the constitution or change in the dissolution. And it is the duty of the registrar to record the changes and make an entry in the register of the firms and file a notice along with the statement saying what are the changes in this firm. Who are the incoming partners, who are the outgoing partners, whether the firm is going to be dissolved, etc. And this may be filed either by the partner or it may be done either by the partner who is acting as an agent. So here you will write these and add on the duty. Duty of the registrar is to make a record of the notice, enter it in the register of the firms and file the notice accordingly what statement the firm has passed on to the register. In clause 2 of section 63, it is discussing the change due to minors' election. Recording of withdrawal of a minor. We studied, students, in section 30, subclause 5, 6, etc. Whenever a minor, he attains the age of majority, within 6 months of he attaining the age of majority, he has to issue a public notice whether he wants to be a partner or whether he wants to withdraw to be a partner in the firm. And this change, recording of withdrawal of a partner, means minor who is elected for the benefits of the partnership firm, he is electing not to be a partner of this registered firm. In that case, he or any partner who is acting as an agent may send a notice to the registrar that he has or he has not elected not to be a partner. And the registrar who is dealing with it, he has to do the necessary changes and deal with the notice in the prescribed manner, how the minor or a person who is acting as an agent of the firm communicates it to the register. Following students? Students? Following?
Yes, madam.
I'll move ahead to section 64. Section 64 is discussing rectification of mistakes. So mistakes have to be rectified here, and this must be brought to the entry in the register of the firms. And the registrar has the power to rectify. Relating, this rectification may be relating to any firm in conformity with any of the documents relating to the firm. Any rectification, students. Those we discussed, the changes here. If any mistake is there they need to rectify. And this rectification must be communicated to the registrar, and the registrar has the power to rectify it accordingly. Section 65 is discussing amendment of register by order of the court. So, court has the power to direct the register to make any amendment in the entry of the register of the firms. Please note, students, this is a change sent to the registrar by the court. Court has the power to direct the registrar to make any amendment in the register of the firms. And accordingly, the registrar must attend it. He must attend to the work. And whenever the registrar will make such an amendment in the registration, in the register of the firms relating to that firms, the registrar shall amend the entry accordingly, and he will communicate it to the partners. So he has to, please note, the registrar should not tell the court no partner is there or no partner who is acting as an agent has bought me. Court, when it orders, he has to do the necessary amendments. He has to amend accordingly, which is directed by the court. So section 55, please 65, please remember it is order of the court to do the necessary changes. It will be directing whom? Registrar of the firms. Section 66 is speaking of inspection of register and file documents. Yes. The register of the firms in which the registrar has made all the changes shall be open to public inspection. It will be open to inspection to any person on payment of fee which is prescribed. So the register of the firm is open to inspection on payment of any prescribed fee. These may be what? Any statements, any notices, any filed documents under this chapter, which all are coming in the purview of registration of the firms. They are open to inspection, but they are subject to some condition and they have to pay a prescribed fee. Only after paying a prescribed fee, the register of the firm will be kept open for inspection. Section 67 is speaking of grant of copies. What is this grant of copies? The registrar shall, on an application furnished to him by any person on payment of fee, a prescribed fee which is there, he may grant a copy certified under his hand, and he may enter that portion to the register, in the register of the firms. So if any partner wants any copy in respect of any application or any document which we discussed in the previous section, after paying a fee, a copy can be granted by the registrar of the firms. Section 68 is speaking of some rules relating to evidence. What are these rules relating to evidence? Here, if any statement or any notice is recorded or it is added changed, amended anything in the register of the firm, as against any person on whose behalf such statement is there or notice is there, and it is signed, it will be a conclusive proof of the fact. The main object of this section is to tell all the members of the firm to have all the subsequent changes. Means the partners should know any change in the constitution of the registered firm. Any changes means all what we discussed here. All these changes they must know in this firm. Any notice, especially regarding what? These documents, what I discussed, the statements, notices, etc. regarding them, they have to have the knowledge. So for this reason, what the law tells us is, whenever they sign, it will be a conclusive proof of the fact that they know whatever stated in the document. Am I clear?
Yes,
Clear,
ma'am.
students?
Yes, madam.
These are what? Sections relating to what? General provisions regarding this. Once they have asked this question, students, discuss the general provisions under Indian law regarding registration of the firms. So we will move on to the important part of this chapter, effects of non-registration. What are the effects of non-registration? You all have some idea, students, now regarding what? Regarding this registration of the firms. You all know. Yes, it is optional. They may register or it may not be registered, etc. So we will first smartly introduce it. Yes. Section 69 of the Indian Partnership Act 1932 is an important change brought in the Indian Partnership Act. Indian Contract Act did not have this provision. It was brought through Indian Partnership Act. Now, what section 69 tells us? Yes, registration is optional. Partner may elect to register it, or group of persons of this registered firm, they may think, yes, let us not register. So it is an optional. But section 69 lays down certain disadvantages. It has not imposed any penalties for non-registration. Non-registration does not make the partnership agreement or any transaction entered between the parties or any transaction entered by the partners with the third parties void. They are not void, nor any penalty is laid down for registration. Therefore, what it has become? It is optional for the firm to get itself registered. But when I said there are some certain disadvantages laid down, there are some restrictions laid down in section 69. As for this reason, no prudent partner or a firm will hesitate to get its name registered. At the earliest, they will think, yes, having these restrictions, having these disadvantages, let us first register the firm. Hence, we can say the effect of non-registration is rather serious, because section 69 imposes certain disabilities on the registered partners who are seeking to enforce certain claims in the civil court, who want to file a suit against a partner, who wants to sue against their co-partner, who wants to sue against the firm, who wants to sue against a third party. All these rights will be vanished. So this section has brought, we can say, indirectly a pressure for the partners better register the firm. If we are losing all these rights which I said against the co-partner, against a partner, against a firm, against a third party, all these rights are denied. So automatically what the partners will think, it is prudent for us, better get the firm registered. So section 69 has to be introduced this way before we are moving on to what are the restrictions laid down for non-registered. It is one of the most important sections in the Act. Registration is not compulsory under this Act, but it is only because of this section the partners are interested to get the firm registered, because there are some disabilities, there are some disadvantages. It's putting some restrictions to the partner. Yes, if you want this, better register the firm. Hence, we can say, although it is optional, all the firms will prudently think a partner and a firm will never hesitate to get the name of the partnership registered at the earliest possible opportunity which will be waiting for them, because they know that certain rights will be denied for them. Leaving all these restrictions, leaving all these disabilities, automatically what will happen? Although it is optional, it is indirectly becoming compulsory. Am I clear with the introduction, students?
Yes, ma'am.
Now we will see there are 4 important rules in section 69 for our study. And this is what you have to highlight, students. What are the effects of non-registration of the firm? Rule 1. Rule 1 is no suit to enforce any right arising out of a contract or arising out of any right which is given under this Act. If a firm is not a registered firm, partner has no right to sue under any contract, or he has no right to sue under all the rights which are provided under this Act. Contract, you know, yes, 2 persons enter into a contract, they will lose the right to sue a party if they have committed any breach. Second part is what? Conferred by this Act. What is conferred? What are the rights conferred on this Act? Right to take active participation in the business, right to express the opinion, right to access of books, right to profits, right to indemnity, right to interest and capital, yes, right to remuneration. All these rights which are available, they will lose them if one partner is not giving them, if a firm is not giving them the remuneration. They have no right to sue. All the rights given under this Act, see this word Act. Act is speaking of what? Indian Partnership Act 1932. What all rights it gives the partners, all these rights will be lost. And if they enter into any contract with any person, any partner, any third party, any creditor, any bank, etc., if they have committed a breach, if there is a loss for a partner, they will be losing this right. Okay? So if this right is instituted in any court by or any behalf of any person suing them, they will lose the rights. The alleged partner will lose these rights. So what it says, rule 1 says, if you want to claim these rights under the contract or under this act, you must be a partner in the registered firm. And the person who you may be a partner, your name should be entered in the register of the firms. Please note, what does it tell? Listen carefully. Rule 1 is telling a partner has no right to sue under a contract or under any rights available in the firm unless the firm is a registered firm. Secondly, what it tells us, it is not only that the firm should be registered firm, the partner who is suing, who wants a right of remuneration, who wants a right to indemnity, his name should be shown in the register of the firm that he is a partner in the registered firm. Only if it is shown thus, he has a right arising out of a contract and also a right which all are conferred under this act. Hence, what the rule says, not only the firm should be a registered firm, but the partner's name should be entered in the register of the firms to claim the benefits under the Indian Partnership Act. Am I clear, students?
Yes, madam.
Will I move to second rule?
Yeah.
Secondly, it is provided no suit to enforce a right arising out of a contract shall be instituted in any court by or on behalf of the firm or against the third party. Same. It is only speaking of what? A contract which is instituted in any court or any third party, unless the firm is a registered firm and unless his name is shown in the register of the firm. What is the difference between the first one and second one? Common students, it is arising out of a contract. If a contract is there, if a party commits a breach, no. Here, what is here added on? Yes?
Third party.
Third party. If any third party has committed any breach, there what it was? It was who? In rule 1, conferred by this act, or a contract, A and B are two partners. So A, B, C, D are partners. A wants to file a suit against B. Here it is, they have entered into a contract. We are speaking of here what? If it is right, which is arising out of a contract and it is against any third party and it is instituted in any court, the partner has no right to sue unless the firm is a registered firm and the partner's name should be entered in the register of the firms. Hence, same students, this rule continues. What is very important again in rule 2? Rule 2, if it is here, it is provided what? No suit to enforce a right which is arising under a contract can be instituted by a partner against any third party unless the firm is a registered firm or the partner who is suing, his name should be shown in the register of the partners partnership firm. So rule 2 continues with one discussion that what is that important point? Not only the firm is to be the registered firm, but the partner's name should be entered in the register of the firm. Then the partner has a right to bring against any third party. Am I clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, madam.
Moving on to rule 3. Rule 3 tells us, it lays down a provision saying that what all we studied in rule 1 and rule 2. Subsections is what? Subsection 1 and 2 of section 69. I have brought here what? Rule 1, rule 2, rule 3 this way. So what all the provisions we studied in rule 1 and rule 2 will also see shall apply to any claim of set off, if it is a claim of set off, or it is a right which is arising out of any contract. Okay. Rule 1 and 2 apply for what? If there is any claim of set off or any proceeding which is a right arising out of a contract, the firm should be what? A registered firm. But however, this shall not affect, please note, however, this provisions what we discussed shall not affect what? The right to enforce if it is a suit regarding dissolution of a firm, regarding accounts of a dissolved firm, or any right of power to release the property of a dissolved firm. This rule does not apply. Got it? Rule 1 and rule 2 tell us only quick, firm should be registered. The partner's name should be entered in the register of the firms. This shall be applied if it is a claim of set off and if it is any proceeding or a right to arising out of a contract. But this will not apply if you are filing a suit for what? Dissolution of a firm, accounts of a dissolved firm, power to release the property of a dissolved firm. This rule does not apply. Secondly, it does not affect the powers of the official assignee or receiver of a court under the Presidential Towns Insolvency Act 1903, or we can say for whom? The Provincial Insolvency Act 1920 to release the property of an insolvent partner. This rule will not apply. So it will not affect what? If you are filing a suit for dissolution of the firm is dissolved, accounts releasing the property. Or an official assignee. When is an official assignee appointed? Students, when is an official assignee appointed? Who is appointing an official assignee and when is he appointed? Quick.
On court decree.
When? Simply court will order for.
When the properties are to be recovered from the third party as per the decree.
Is it so? When will a court appoint this for whom?
Ma'am, if the firm declares bankruptcy,
If official assignee is appointed when one of the partner goes insolvent, we studied yesterday. Yes or no?
Yeah, insolvency.
So
Yes.
who will be taking care of the property? Court will appoint an official assignee. So in that case, the official assignee, when he moves ahead, he need not worry whether the firm is a registered firm or the partner against whom this, for whom this official assignee is appointed, he must be a partner. This rule does not apply because they are releasing the property of an insolvent partner. See students, here the point is, don't forget, so is what we have done. Followed? What is the idea in rule 3? Yes, rule 1 and rule 2. That is, the firm should be registered and the partner's name should be entered in the register of the firm. If there is a claim of set-off or any contract, you want to enforce a right, yes, you can. You have to. But it tells, if they are filing a suit for dissolution of a firm, for accounts of the firm, or releasing any property of a dissolved firm, or if an official assignee is appointed in respect of what? Releasing the property of an insolvent partner under Provincial Act or under the Presidential Towns Insolvency Act 1909, this rule do not apply. Am I clear? Rule 4. Rule 4, it says this section shall not apply to firms or partners in firm who have no place of business in India. Simple. If this, what is the name of this act? We are in the last topic. What's the name of this act?
Indian Partnership Act.
Indian Partnership Act. So it applies only to what? The firms which are registered in India. If it is what? Outside India, if there is no place of business in India, that firm does not have a right here. Got it? Whose place of business is situated in areas which are notified, will not worry about that. They must have a place of business in India to avail the benefits of this act. And secondly, to any claim or set-off not exceeding rupees 100 here in value, it shall not apply. Not exceeding. Who will apply for minimum below that? No one. Or to any proceeding in execution or other proceedings which are incidental or arising from any such contract, this rule does not apply. Got it, students? Remember two things. What are the two things? One is quick. Students, slide is there, unable to tell.
The firm should be registered.
No.
The
If,
business should be in India.
yes, first. Secondly,
The claim should not exceed 100 in value.
okay. So with that, what it tells us, there the registration of the firm is not compulsory. It shall not apply to this. So these are the 4 rules regarding registration of firm. Effects of non-registration. Am I clear, students?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. We will see section 17. What's the penalty for furnishing false particulars? See, some persons, they give some false intimation, they send false notice, they want to misrepresent and they want to make you believe this. All such false statements, etc., which are furnished here, they are punishable, students. They are punishable under section 17. It may be an imprisonment which may extend 3 months or with fine or both under section 7. Simple. Just remember, if any false intimation, false particulars or notices, etc., and misrepresenting someone, playing a fraud there in the partnership firm takes place, they are punishable. And the punishment is they may be imprisoned with 3 months or fine or both. Section 71 is telling us power to make rules, students. Need not worry about this. All the powers are given in the hands of state government. We have studied state government. And what are all prescribing any statement? We studied, remember? Now the provisions, section 58, 60, 61, 62, all this, filing the documents, procedure rules, inspection rules, granting of copies, all the rules what we studied under the Indian Partnership Act. Who has the power? It is the state government who can make the power under section 71. What are all the powers? All what is there. I need not repeat the state name what we have discussed. Any doubt in section 71? It will not be asked, but you should have knowledge. I am just giving. Clear? Students, are you clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
The last section, section 72. Yes, every now and then, since 5-6 classes, I am using the word public notice. And what is this public notice is given in section 72. A notice here at the time of retirement, at the time of expulsion, dissolution, and a minor, I have given minor after he attaining the age of majority. All this, what he has to do, they have to give the public notice. Notice to the registrar of the firm under section 63, and it must be published in the official gazette. And very important is this one vernacular newspaper circulating in the particular district where this partnership firm is situated. Principal place of business is situated. It is compulsory for them to issue this public notice. And in any other case, they may give it in what? Official gazette. And also at least in one vernacular newspaper where it is situated. So notice plays a very important role, mainly when a partner is retiring from the firm and when the partner is expelled from the firm and the case of dissolution of the firm. More important here is minor when he elects not to become a partner in the firm. His role, or the partner who is acting as an agent, his role is very important to issue a public notice. Notice must be by what? It must be given in the registrar of the firms, and the registrar will publish it in the official gazette. And very important is at least in one vernacular newspaper where this particular partnership firm is situated. The principal place of the business is situated. Public notice is to be issued. Failing which, a minor or a retired partner or an expelled partner will be liable to the firm even after retirement, even after expulsion, even after the minor ceasing to be a partner. They will be liable for all the acts of the firm till the public notice. Hence, issuing of public notice plays a very important role. So with this we complete Indian Partnership Act. Okay. Sir has joined. Sir, good morning, sir.
Madam, good morning.
Yes, sir.
Continue, madam, continue.
Yeah.
We have a very small topic.
Yes, hot topic. I just completed the act, sir. We were discussing the last part when you joined. Okay, students, any doubts you all have, students, regarding the rules of registration or public notice? Any doubts? Students,
No, ma'am.
no doubts? You all are clear?
Yes, ma'am.
So Monday, we will be meeting in person. We will begin Sale of Goods Act, And you all bring your assignment topics for me. I will just roughly correct all and give you all after the class, not in the class. After the class, we will have a small discussion of your assignment. Anyhow, you all must have finalized this. Yes,
Yes, ma'am.
Madam, Monday timing would be 9 to 10
we
or how is it,
will,
madam?
we will give you all students. We will give you all. We are setting up because online and offline, even we have some practical difficulties. We are setting it here. So we have to manage both. So for managing both, we will see what time. Is it 8:30 or 9? I will message you all in the group.
Then request is 9. 9 would be the better, madam. Request
A request. Okay.
as a request.
Anyhow, principal sir is there. We will see. We will decide. Yesterday we have begun the setup of setting the PCs in the class. We will do it. Okay. We will do it as far as possible.
Thank you, ma'am.
Consistency. Thank you, students.
Thank you, ma'am.
So thank you, sir. Sir, I leave, sir. Thank you, sir. Sir?
Yes, madam, thank you.
Okay.
I am adjusting this speaker.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.